Nerderotic.com.
Every time I watch Star Trek Discovery, I keep saying that is the worst episode of television I have ever seen. And then I watch another episode of Star Trek Discovery and I end up saying, that was the worst episode of television I have ever seen. The writing is atrocious. This was god awful. Forget the canon violations. I am not a canon fundamentalist, but this was horrific. Welcome to the Nerdrotic channel. My name is Gary Beekler, and we are covering Star Trek Discovery Season 2, Episode 5, Saints of Imperfection. And yes, they are the Saints of Imperfection. They are the Saints of Bad Writing. This episode's guilty party, Kristen Bear, who by all accounts has written some excellent Voyager novels that I have not read, but more proof that novelists don't necessarily make good screenwriters, right, J.K. Rowling? Now, as you may know by now, I do a live stream after every episode airs. You can go check it out. Link will be in the description. But this video is for those of you who do not want to sit through the live streams, and we get to have that fun scene by scene breakdown. Well, I'm not going to break down every scene because my mind can't take it. It's hard enough to watch this episode a second time in 5-minute increments, but here we go. Now, I don't show video on my breakdowns for obvious reasons. I don't want to get that CBS copyright strike. But you could see here that Sonequa Martin Green is doing her best Steve Austin as she slow-mo runs down the hallway with her arms jutting up. And she has the funniest run. And she finds out that Tilly is indeed gone. The transdimensional booger has sucked her in, and she is off to Shroomland. And Stamets can't do anything about it, but he's not going to give up. And then she gets back to her room, and we get a voiceover with some great dialogue, like, there is no word for the unique agony of uncertainty. And I'd like to fix that because there's no word for the unique agony of Star Trek Discovery. Michael Burnham continues with some of that great dialogue. She talks about wanting to have faith, but in its absence, only duty remains. And again, I agree with her. Only duty remains. They find Spock's shuttle, but Spock is not responding, so they disable it, and when they bring it in, they find out it's Emperor Captain Georgiou. Now, Michael doesn't lower her phaser right away, and clueless Captain Pike finally notices something. Everybody eventually lowers their phasers, and Georgiou, Michael Burnham, and Captain Pike head towards the roller coaster elevator. In this short scene, while they're walking down a corridor, we get the obligatory female complimenting to achieve full Bechdel test. Like I've said before, this show is trying to win the Bechdel test like it is an actual competition. Captain Pike tells us she is a force to be reckoned with, sharpest tool in the shed. Despite being able to drink everybody under the table, she was able to memorize all the Starfleet regulations within 2 weeks. And before we even get to the elevator, we're reminded that she saved a school of humpback whales from a megalodon, chopped down a giant sequoia while drinking a Cardassian cooler, translated the Beatles' library into Klingon, and built the Enterprise with a replicator. Okay, I might have added a couple things there. Then we get the scene in the elevator, which we've seen in all the trailers, where she shows off her super secret Section 31 badge. Turns out, just as we thought, Section 31 is after Spock as well. Philippa Georgiou found the shuttle, but it was adrift and Spock was gone, and they have no idea where he is. Captain Pike, Michael Burnham, and Philippa Georgiou get to Pike's ready room where they find Leland, the hologram of Leland. Again, this show is just not even trying, but it gets so much worse if you are a canonista. They talk about the charges to Spock, and then Pike is forced to let Captain Emperor Georgiou go as she seductively eats an apple. Her and Michael Burnham face off in the corridor over Spock because Michael Burnham knows who she is and Captain Pike does not. Georgiou informs Michael Burnham that Leland does indeed know who she really is. And she talks about how much she really enjoys Section 31. And then we get to what is supposed to be kind of an intimidating, badass face-off scene. Didn't really pull that one off. Now, wait a second. I thought the light is different in the mirror universe, and all Terrans, if they came over to the other side, would have light sensitivity. Why isn't Georgiou wearing shades? Now, maybe I missed something from season 1, but it wouldn't surprise me at all if they don't pay attention to their own canon. As if you need another example of bad writing in this show, I'm going to give you one. Michael Burnham goes down to engineering to talk to Stamets to see what's going on with Tilly. He has figured out that the booger is basically a mycelial network transporter. How do we know this? Both he and Michael Burnham tell us. Stamets says the universe doesn't waste anything, and mass is neither created nor destroyed. Since there's no pieces of Tilly left in the booger, he surmises that she was transported, which leads them to believe that May took Tilly into the network. Then Stamets says, I think that this cocoon is an organic transporter. It breaks down matter in one place and reassembles it completely in another. And then Michael Burnham says, the mycelial version of a transporter pad. What Stamets just said. Stamets and Michael Burnham think Tilly is alive and they can find her in the network, which is probably the size of a universe. But Stamets thinks he could scan the booger and find the booger's counterpart in the shroom network. So we get into the shroom network with Tilly and May, and well, the show rips off a couple things here. And yes, this show rips off the Orville. And I mentioned this on my live stream that I think some of the people are so close. I could see one of the people from the board coming down and going, hey, there's this really hot show called The Orville. Maybe we want to be more like that, without even knowing that The Orville is a Star Trek parody. So we start out in the upside down shroom network where they actually do the upside down because somebody in marketing went, hey, that Stranger Things is really hot. We should make our show like that. And then the other thing, I don't think a lot of people notice that the little blue flecks floating around in the shroom network look a lot like the proto-molecule from the very superior, best sci-fi show, The Expanse. So May brought Tilly into the shroom network to kill a monster. The next thing we find out, there is a Section 31 liaison who needs to speak to Michael Burnham. Of course, Pike told her that because he is her message boy. And again, we have Michael Burnham asserting some sort of power over her captain by having knowledge that he does not. He suspects, he actually figures something out finally in this show, that something is going on with Georgiou and this liaison who she takes a look at and visibly freaks out a little bit. Pike sees this, asks her for the information. She said, now's not the time. He says, don't make me chase you. And we see Vok Tyler, who is now a member of Section 31. How do we know this? He's wearing his super secret badge on his shirt. You think that's dumb? Just wait. Back in the shroom network, May and Tilly compliment each other on their mastery of science, yet we don't get any explanation. We just know that a spore entered Tilly's brain and it was some amazing science. And May compliments her for her mastery of science too. Hashtag tears, science, and friendship. May spoke earlier about the shroom network being a paradise until the monster arrived, yet it is filled with trees with toxic bark that can kill the little blue spore flakes. Tilly agrees to help May hunt down the monster. Stamets' plan to find Tilly needs to be executed within 1 hour because the little blue spore things can eat through the hull of the Discovery in that time. We get an inspirational speech from Captain Pike, which I did not pay attention to because I was distracted by the random blinking lights on the bridge that serve no purpose whatsoever. Then we get some running around, an unnecessary lens flare, the Discovery jumps, and it looks like it's sinking in space. So the Discovery is halfway in space and halfway in the shroom network. No humans can make contact where those 2 points meet, or they will be ground into meet. The Discovery just happened to jump right next to where May and Tilly are. May needs some convincing, so of course we get the time-honored Star Trek tradition of the pinky swear. Tilly and May get on the ship where they see Michael Burnham and Stamets, and they find out that the monster is on the Discovery. We can hear the monster crying. They chase it a little bit, and we find out it is Hugh, who needs a teeth cleaning and a haircut. This, of course, is Hugh, or Dr. Culber, Stamets' ex-boyfriend who died at the hands of Vok Tyler last year under heavy criticism from the media, and that is what has led to his return, I believe. And Hugh is indeed the monster that is killing the blue spore things, just by his mere presence. We see little flakes of black stuff that May tells Michael Burnham is the bark from that deadly tree in their paradise that kills the little blue spore thingies. And of course, Michael Burnham figures out that Hugh is using that bark to protect himself from the spore thing. The shroom spores eat whatever comes into their network and reuses that matter like insects on our planets, according to May. Stamets takes off running after Hugh. Tilly and Michael Burnham lose them. We find out that the ship's hull's 78% compromised as it's sinking into the shroom network. They've lost control of the helm. And then Vok Tyler uses his super secret agent badge that he wears on his shirt to communicate with the Section 31 ship. And well, let me show you another YouTuber's reaction to show you exactly how I felt about them using a comm badge.
What? What? Oh my God, no, I am freaking... Oh, no. No, I'm done. This is the epitome of just a giant middle finger thrown at anybody who gives a crap about Star Trek.
That's my boy, the anti-trekker. Link will be in the description, and I couldn't have said it better myself, pal. So the Section 31 ship used a hologram to hide itself as an asteroid while it was tailing the Discovery. They use a tractor beam to stabilize the Discovery as it sinks into space. In the meantime, Hugh, Stamets, Michael Burnham, Tilly, and May have all found each other, and they have some emotional scenes, and we see that they're going to take them back into the Discovery, but it turns out Hugh can't go because he is partially made of the Jessup or whatever. He can't leave the shroom network. He decides to let the blue spore things eat him, and Stamets refuses to let him go. They figure out if they take some of Hugh's DNA and put it in the other booger that's on the other side, it might be able to reassemble them. May is cautious about this because it would close the door to their network and she would be disconnected from Tilly. That's right, they're risking the ship, Hugh, Stamets, and Michael Burnham because Tilly doesn't want to lose her new friend May because she was in her mind, so they have a very deep personal connection. And if one wasn't enough, as Tilly says goodbye to May, and May is worried that Tilly won't come back for her, they pinky swear again. And again, we have hashtag tears, science, and friendship. I have to give them credit. It wasn't just Michael Burnham who came up with the solution. Tilly helped a little bit as well. And of course, it works. And we get to see Hugh back on the Discovery, and we get to see a lot more of Hugh than we really wanted to. And somehow he got his teeth cleaned and got a haircut. How did they bring Hugh back from the dead? Well, last season, when Stamets was trapped in between reality and the shroom network, he found Hugh's dead body, gave him a kiss, and his love brought him back to life. The Discovery gets out of the shroom network, and unsurprisingly, everybody is okay. And so much goes on in this next scene, I don't even know where to start. So Captain Pike beams over to the Section 31 ship where he sees Leland, and guess who shows up? Guess who's in deep space on this ship randomly? Admiral Dumas, or Dumbass, I don't know and don't care what her real name is. Remember her from season 1? Remember the one sleeping with Captain Lorca and didn't know she was sleeping with a mirror universe of a guy she shacked up with? Remember the one who wanted to commit genocide on the Klingon homeworld? Yeah, that one. She informs Leland and Captain Pike that of course the Red Angel left behind tachyons, implying time travel. Again, I think of that Reddit theory of Spock being the Red Angel, the one I actually like. And I wish it were true, and who knows, it might be. Of course, they had to mention a quantum field as related to the tachyons, and we got our quantum tachyon. And remember, a couple of weeks ago, they reversed the polarity. She tells them to get over their manlier than thou bullshit and then gets all mommy on them and forces them to apologize. Continuing the running theme of this show. Oh, but we're not done. Then Michael Burnham has a talk with the hologram of Captain Emperor Georgiou and asks her what her intentions are with Spock. Georgiou says she wants to find him before any trigger-happy cowboys from Starfleet do. We get another cheesy voiceover of us choosing to move forward together as Vok Tyler, the Section 31 agent, the one who killed Hugh, who was now back to life, is allowed by Admiral Dumbass to stay on the bridge. This show makes no sense, but that's where it thankfully ends. Once a series gets to episode 4 or 5, it's got its legs under it. People know what it's about, and they either buy in or they dip out. With Doctor Who Season 11, Episode 4, Arachnids in the UK, that's when the numbers started going down. With Star Trek Discovery, Season 1, Episode 4, The Butcher Cares Not for the Lamb's Cry, that's when interest started going down. I believe that this is that episode. It tried to do too much at once, and when you put it in contrast to the Great Orville episode this week, which again just focused on one story and it was able to breathe, we were able to care about new characters, and we got an arc with a guest star that's better than regulars on Star Trek Discovery that have been around since Season 1. The show is such a mess, and it can change out as many writers as it needs to. It will still be the same with Alex Kurtzman. I want the Picard series to be good, but it can't be under the reign of Alex Kurtzman and Akiva Goldsman. Maybe Michael Chabon can save it. I don't know. I hope so. It sucks. It sucks that Star Trek sucks and the Orville is better. But at least we have the Orville and you have the Expanse. You can watch a show like that and enjoy the hell out of it. Remember the mantra of Alex Kurtzman and company? All off season, it was almost the slogan for Season 2. We'll fix this. Everything will align with canon or prime canon. Now that we've seen some of their explanations, especially with the hologram on the Enterprise, I think we get the picture now. They're not going to really try that hard, and the explanations are going to be awful, and I can or can't wait to find out how they fix the Spock thing. And now they've implemented time travel. That gives me hope that maybe this is a different timeline, and we can just forget about this show, like everybody else will in a couple, 3 years. If it gets a Season 3, what's it going to be? It's not going to get the budget that it got this season. It's going to be sitting on the bridge for 10 episodes, and there'll be a reduced episode count, I guarantee you. If it gets to Season 3, it'll be 9 or 10 episodes, and it'll all be on the ship, practically, and half the cast will die. That might be behind Anson Mount's tweet. Maybe it's just him and Ethan Peck who aren't returning next season. I don't know. Super secret comm badges and tachyons. They are trying to throw all the Trek babble they can just to remind people that this is Star Trek, which it is most definitely not. I am very sorry to report. Maybe next week, but I seriously doubt it. If you like what you heard, please like, share, and subscribe. If you didn't like it, well, hey, thanks for listening this long. We do 3 live streams a week. If you'd like to talk to us about it, Monday and Wednesday at 11 a.m., the Nerdrotic Nooner, and 7 p.m., Friday Night Tights with Susan Layton from 1428elm.com. Please like, share, and subscribe. And thank you to all the new subscribers. Welcome. We just hit 40K. Very excited about that. Orville video is next. I think another Doctor Who video, actually. Until then, everybody, have a great day, and may the small folks sing songs of your greatness.
Nerdrotic.com. Please subscribe.